Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the CR7 Podcast. I'm just going to wait a second until my stream doesn't restart on me. Okay, it might have just did. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the CR7 Podcast. The RTGAC is back, and today we have had a crazy week here. Lots of things have happened, and it's probably going to be a bit of a longer edition because of just all the crazy things that have happened. A lot of stuff happens off the field, out of the octagon, boxing rings, whatever you want to talk about it. A lot of things have happened in and outside of sports. I think I'm gonna turn it over to Cole. Say what's up to the people.
How's it going, everybody? Great to be back. I don't really have much. Pretty boring week, to be honest, for me.
I thought it was pretty eventful.
Well, no, not like sports-wise, but
I got you.
Real life-wise.
Well, politically, that was
also
a wild week. We don't discuss that here on the CR7 podcast. I don't know. I'm always thinking of because my family's always involved in politics and stuff like that. I was always thinking about a politic channel, but I might as well stay away from the controversy. You know what I mean? Anyway. Coming on to the show with a bit of breaking news, Gary Trent Jr. signing with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Philadelphia 76ers and the New York Knicks were the front runners to sign Gary Trent Jr., but he ends up with the Milwaukee Bucks, reuniting with Damian Lillard in Milwaukee. Cole, any thoughts about this one?
I really wish we got him. I don't really have much more on it. I just wanted to get him.
43% shooter from three. What I will say is that the Philadelphia 76ers probably do need a power forward. The local media is saying that we should use Adem Bona in his first year, but the national media hasn't really seemed to say much about him. But
I agree.
But he has had a good summer league. He has had a good summer league. Right.
Who else has had a good summer league?
Right. Who? I know McCain's done decent. Council's had a good summer league.
You keep talking about it.
I got you. Council's had a good summer league. I've liked what McCain has been doing. I like what he's been doing. Who else? Bona had that great dunk in the first game.
Dalton Jr.
Dalton, yeah, I like him. He's been starting at point guard.
He's had 15 plus in every game so far.
Yeah, he's been doing good.
And then obviously my boy Ricky Council.
Yeah, we know. He had 21 the other night, I think.
Oh yeah, he had 30 the opening day.
We haven't gotten that many wins. I feel like we've been losing the pace. I think we're on a three game stint here. 3-game losing streak, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, to get back on track here, we'll be doing our weekly Phillies recap after a very exciting week with the Phillies. The All-Star break is currently taking place right now. We have the All-Star game tonight. I do have a question for Cole right after when we're talking about the home run derby. And we'll be getting into UFC Fight Night. We'll be getting into the reactions to that. Not too much to say about that, but we'll be talking about that. Then we're going to talk about UFC 306 at the Sphere. A lot of potential news, fake news going around. We'll be talking about that as well. Also, John Jones, another positive drug test. He could face some jail time. We're talking about that as well. Then in the NFL, we finally have some news. The Tennessee Titans, they're going all in. They just signed Jamal Adams. Brandon Ayuk has formally requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. Cole will be giving his home run derby reactions. And then also we'll be going into the NBA. We'll be talking about Jalen Brunson taking over the next few years a $113 million pay cut with the New York Knicks. We'll also be talking about Team USA basketball and their quest for an Olympic gold medal. And then Cole will have another top five guys for the Phillies to trade for. And then we will get into Ryan's rants. Cole, a very exciting week for the Philadelphia Phillies. They went 4-2, including a sweep over the second best team in the NL, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Talk about this team.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this because I was right. I called it. I called a sweep of the Dodgers. I didn't. The one thing that I did get wrong was I had them winning out the rest of the break, the All-Star break, but that was wrong because we didn't win the series against Oakland. But it's not the end of the world, especially going into the All-Star break. Ranger has not been great these last couple starts. I'm going to start off with that. He really hasn't been anywhere up to par pretty much, throughout these past couple weeks, I'd say. But yeah, you want to start with the Dodgers series. I mean, first game, we absolutely raked, Turner, grand slam. That pretty much blew it open. That was pretty much the game. Wheeler pitched incredible other than the Calvin Biggio home run. So that's all I got on that game. And then moving on, they won 4-3. Close win. I really thought that, I think it was Gavin Lux last day of the game. I thought he went yard. I actually thought he went yard. But it ended up being right at the warning track, got at the weight room. But yeah, I mean, this game was really offensively slow. Besides the Schwarber leadoff bomb, we really didn't have much. Whit Merrifield has been released. I want to add that as well. It's about time. I'm going to say that. It is about time. I'm sure it was tough to cut him, but it needed to be done. I wonder who we're going to keep up when Turnbull comes back or whatever, or Romuto comes back. Oh, yeah. Here's my question for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Marchand or Stubbs right now? Like, who would you rather send down to AAA when JT comes back?
See, that's a good question. Right now, I would say Marchand, just because he doesn't have the experience that Stubbs has. But offensively, I think Marchand has been a lot better. Defensively, that's definitely a debate because I know Stubbs, he did have that throwout against the Dodgers that did save an inning. I don't remember a run in an inning. At least a run in an inning. I forget which one it was. It was in the Dodgers series. But I think defensively, they're pretty much equal. Marchand, I think, has been better offensively. I wish guys would get on base for him. But just because of the experience that Stubbs has right now, I probably would say just send Marchand down for now.
I would disagree. I think Marchand's a better player.
I agree with that, though.
I think they need Stubbs in the clubhouse.
You're not wrong.
So that's why I'm going to send Marchand down. And it sucks, man, because he's in my opinion, he is much better than Stubbs. But I love Stubbs, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't send him down. He's too much to the other guys who are much better than Marchand to send him down. And, yeah, I mean, all right. Anyways, yeah. So, moving on to the last Dodgers game. I should have been at this game.
I remember. So right. This story. What happened? Because I don't even know the story.
So I had tickets to this game, right?
Right.
I'm doing summer vibe, right?
Right.
So I have a test the next day.
Oh, no.
So it's my friend Alex Rescue's birthday, right?
Right.
And at the Good Samaritan, I give my 2 tickets to him. And he was looking at going to one of the games, but it didn't work out.
Right.
But it worked out this time. So I gave him 2 of the tickets. And here was the problem. He invited a friend, and it was Jamie Hansen.
Oh, no.
Who, may I add, is a Dodgers fan.
Oh, no. This is terrible.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. He wouldn't give it up for, about a week. But I survived. Did very, very well on my test that I had. So.
Love to see it.
A win's a win.
Love to see it. Rescue, he was a guest on our podcast, one of the first guests. I think the second ever guest on the CR7 Podcast.
He was. I believe he was.
Yeah.
By the way, Turner's got the hottest bat in baseball right now. I don't care what anybody says. And then Nola's been quietly insane. I know we're putting Suarez and Wheeler up there for Cy Young. I know we're saying Christopher Sanchez for the All-Star game, who is at the All-Star game. But yeah, I mean, so Nola, I think, is better than Ranger right now. I'm gonna say that. I think he's better than Ranger just strictly because of wins. And Ranger hasn't been great as of late. I think earlier in the season I would have taken Ranger over anyone in the NL, maybe besides Terry Skubal, but I mean he's been incredible. And then I don't really have anything to say about this A series. I mean, you got cooked the last game, but
that was terrible. I watched that game from start to finish. I don't know why. It was terrible.
Yeah.
There are some games that I don't catch. Like, I know I didn't catch the Friday game, but that was terrible.
Yeah, and Lawrence Butler came out of nowhere. It was tough for Michael Mercado. He shouldn't be up in the big leagues anymore. I mean, really not much else to say there. Phillips.
He was good. I liked what he did.
He did okay. He didn't walk many guys, which I liked.
He had a couple strikeouts, though.
Oh, yeah.
He had like 6, I think. He had 1 per inning.
Yeah, he definitely was solid. But, I mean, I don't got much else to say about, the Phillies. I think they've been solid. Going into the All-Star break, you get some rest for your guys. And then you look to the next series, who is against
Pittsburgh,
and then the Twins. So, I mean, Pittsburgh.
Twins are a good team, though, I will say.
They definitely are, but I think they started to cool down a little bit. I think they're coming back down to earth. They're exactly at 500 right now. I think you could definitely take advantage of them there.
No, the Twins are 12 over 500.
No. I was talking about
the Pirates. I got you.
And then the Twins, obviously they've been solid recently. Joe Ryan and they got a good solid pitching staff up there. So and is it away?
I know Correa's batting .308 right now. Very solid year for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correa's been great. I don't got much else to say, Ryan. I'm gonna pass it over to you now.
All right. I mean, this Dodgers series, absolutely incredible. Not really much to say. Wednesday was a bit of a scare. I mean, goodness gracious. You almost lost that in the end. Jeff Hoffman got the save. I mean, when do you ever see Jeff Hoffman getting a save? I mean, well, he's had 9 for the year, but you get my point. I mean, he's made me want to lose my mind this entire year. But, I mean, Merrifield's pretty much saving it, helping us win that game as well. He had that ground out the third to end and got that ground out. And Marsh was able to score to get, take a 2-0 lead, help keep the momentum throughout the game. One thing I will say about that Wednesday game, something I didn't really like, is that we had 10 hits throughout the first 5 innings, then none throughout the rest of the game. So I thought that was not that good at all. That's something that is going to have to be looked upon, I guess you could say, or fixed, because that is something that definitely cannot happen. You need to be hitting throughout the entire game. That's something that's unacceptable right there. Other than that, I mean, I thought we had a pretty good game. You have, you had Sanchez on the mound, gave up 2 runs. Not bad to a really good Dodgers team that hits the ball very, very well. I mean, and then you had a plethora of pitchers. You had Kirking. Then you had Strahm. Alvarado's had a terrible stint this week. I mean, I was yelling at my TV about his performance the other day. And then you have Hoffman, who came in and got the save. Very surprised about that because you know how I feel about Jeff Hoffman. The Wednesday game is probably my biggest complaint about this series. And then you have Tuesday and Thursday, just absolutely dominant performances. Tuesday was great. Cole, I mean, you said it, and I will piggyback off that. I mean, what's his face? Turner has just been absolutely incredible. He probably is the hottest player in the MLB right now. Don't know why he's not getting MVP discussion as of late. You haven't heard that much of Ohtani. He's batting .316 right now. He's playing very, very well. But I mean, Turner definitely should be up there at this current moment in time. I'm also really liking what Marsh is doing. I thought Marsh has played very, very well. He has a lot of runs over these over this last week. As we were talking about Martian, I thought he's been great offensively. He's really stepped up there. One guy that I am a little disappointed with is Bryson Stott. I thought that he didn't have the best week. I know he did have a home run in that first game against the Dodgers. But other than that, I really have not seen much out of Bryson Stott this past week. Not really too happy with his performance. I do expect him to pick it up, though. Alec Bohm, an up and down performance, I would say. Not a bad week, but not a very good week as well. He had a good home run derby performance last night. We'll talk about that a bit later, though. Then you get to this A's series. They could have been tired. But I think throwing Mercado out there, who was just an absolute disgrace. I mean, Cole Met said it, and I will go even further. He should not be in the big leagues. I mean, I don't know where they found this guy. This other guy, whatever his name is, that pitched the other day. Very good story. Phillies fan growing up. He was able to pitch and get out the win. Pitched 6 innings. I thought he had a great performance. And this Mercado is an absolute disgrace. He's had 4 games. He should already be settled into his role as a starting pitcher. Just can't get anything done against the worst team in the MLB going into the All-Star break. I mean, I don't know if he went out the night before or something like that, if he's celebrating being in the MLB too much, but he has had a terrible, terrible performance in the MLB. I voice crack. That's how you know that I'm mad. But 18 runs given up. I mean, just an absolute disgrace. You had Garrett Stubbs pitching there in the last inning. Only 3 runs to show for it. I mean, what are you going to do? It is what it is. We lose that series there. I don't expect the Phillies to look that terrible in the upcoming series. But then you're going up against the Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates, who is starting tonight for the NL, which I think is probably the right move for the MLB. But yeah, not a bad week overall. I was pretty frustrated with that last game against the Oakland A's. I thought that you should have came out there and at least did something, not give up 18 runs and have Mercado come out there and look like an absolute abomination of a whatever that was. Hold on a second. All right, never mind. But yeah, I mean, not a very good week. Obviously, the Dodgers series makes up for anything you don't, or any of the problems you do see. Yeah, you say, okay, no, never mind. A bit of news here. Caleb Williams has signed a 4-year, $39.49 million contract. With a $25.5 million signing bonus with the Chicago Bears. He gets his rookie deal locked in. And then our own Jordan Ellaby just got a offer from Kent State. And then Jalen Harper received an offer to Eastern Michigan. So some good prep news there. And now we're going to move into the UFC, if Cole doesn't have anything else to say. All right. Now we're going to move into the UFC, which has gone with some crazy, crazy things this past week. I mean, we did have a good but not great card. Hold on. Okay. So we did have a half-decent card. I thought that this was all right. The prelims were really nothing. I was very excited for this Cody Brunage fight, but it ended up being a no contest, obviously, with 37 seconds in the first round. Not really much happened. The biggest thing was Drew Dober's cut. Cole, I don't know if you saw that cut, but if you go on my Twitter and you scroll down a little bit, I reposted the cut that he had on his eyebrow. That was one of the nastiest things I think I've ever seen. I'll send it to you really quick. But now getting into the Rose Namajunas fight with Tracy Cortez. I expect Rose Namajunas to win. I expected this to go through a unanimous decision. Cole, I think you also predicted that as well. But, I mean, not really the best fight. I had Rose winning 4-1. I thought that she did really good standing up, especially in that first round. She landed a beautiful hook to knock down Cortez in that first round. I was very, very excited, happy to see what Rose Namajunas was doing there. And then Tracy Cortez's takedown defense was absolutely terrible. She's supposed to have some of the best takedown defense in the women's flyweight division, and it just looked like she looked terrible. I mean, 2 for 2 when it came to takedowns for Rose Namajunas in the first 2 rounds. I mean, beautiful double leg to end the first round, but I mean, Tracy Cortez with terrible takedown defense. I thought she was going to be a little bit better than that. Namajunas dominated her everywhere. The only round I had Tracy Cortez losing was the 4th round, or winning was the 4th round. Some people were saying that Rose won all 5. I really couldn't argue that. I just think Cortez did a little bit more in that 4th round. Rose Namajunas, dominant on the feet, dominant on the ground. Not dominant on the ground, but I think better on the ground than Tracy Cortez. But yeah, a pretty boring card in my opinion. Next week's card is not going to get any better. Women's strawweight fight is the main event. We have Lemos versus Jan de Broda. I'll take Lemos to win. I'm sorry. I'll take Jana Broder to win this, if I'm saying her name right. I'll take her to win this fight by unanimous decision. I mean, this card next week, not really much happening. But then we have Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad coming up soon. But getting back to this card, or getting into the future here, I want to talk about 306 a little bit when it comes to Rose Namajunas. Now, apparently Valentina Shevchenko, or not her, she didn't say this directly, but apparently Tracy Cortez said that Valentina Shevchenko does not want to fight Alexa Grasso in a rematch for the Women's Flyweight Championship at 306. If this is the case, if I'm Dana White, I'm flying to Rose Namajunas' house and offering her Ronda Rousey, well, maybe not Ronda Rousey type money, but I'm offering her a boatload of money to get her to go fight Alexa Grasso. If you're talking about some of the biggest names you want on this card, Rose Namajunas has been great in her last few fights. I think she's only lost 1 or 2 rounds in her last 2 fights. She has been great. She's still one of the biggest names in the world right now, or not in the world, but one of the biggest names in women's MMA. I think that you give her a title shot and Valentina Shevchenko is not ready to go. I don't think too many people would disagree with what the decision would be there. I would love to see Rose Namajunas get a championship shot. Cole, I'll turn it over to you just for a second here if you have anything to say. And could you give me your prediction for next week's main event?
All right, so first I'll start. I'm going to make it short and sweet. Rose Namajunas dominated Cortez. And then, like you just sent me, yeah, I'm baffled. How did that even happen? Like, Dober, I mean, whoa. I mean, that's
a terrible cut.
I think he lost the fight.
He lost by doctor stoppage, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, main event here. Oh, it's going to be tough. I think I'm going to go with Jandaroba.
You said, honestly, you pronounced that better than me. Honest to God.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I try my best.
There you go. All right. Yeah, not really much going on here. I will move into UFC. Some potential, well, not potential, but I guess it's fake news. So apparently on the Australian broadcast, something like that, they said that Taporia versus Holloway and O'Malley versus Merab was going to happen at 306 on the same card. I think that might happen, to be honest. I made a whole video on that if you guys want to go check that out. I don't think Taporia versus Holloway is going to happen on 306. I think it's going to happen at 307. O'Malley versus Merab is definitely going to happen at 306. I think everybody has kind of known that for a while. It's the worst kept secret in MMA at this current moment in time. But then Ariel Helwani comes out and says that it's fake news. It's not real. I don't understand. How can these people work for the UFC, but then say these fights on this random broadcast, and then just the UFC comes out and Ariel Helwani comes out and says it's not true? It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really understand that. It's very, very confusing. I assume we'll know something. I mean, maybe in the next week or two. I think Dana White will probably come out and say the card. Apparently, there's only going to be 10 fights on this 306 card. Dana White says that he's going to have the greatest sporting event at the Sphere of all time. I mean, he couldn't be wrong. I mean, we haven't seen that many sporting events at the Sphere. We've only really seen the NHL draft, and that was a very good event. We've seen some concerts there, I think, but not really much going on. But I mean, my opinion, I think that O'Malley versus Merab will happen. Alexa Grasso will have a title defense. I don't really know. I think we'll see some half-decent fights on this card, but we'll have to see. Cole, I'll ask you the question. Do you think UFC 306 will be the greatest event at the Sphere of all time? Dana White's already $17 million deep into this.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. I don't know, because what else is going to be there in the future? I don't know. All right, anyway. Moving on, we have another John Jones positive drug test. John Jones, the heavyweight champion, I say that in quotes, is in a bit of trouble. He tested positive for 2 drug tests. And he's supposed to fight at 309 against Stipe Miocic. Now, right after this, I mean, this is just an absolute disgrace. Cole, what do I keep saying about John Jones?
He's not. He's just retaining, his title belt and is not fighting.
Exactly, and he should be stripped of the heavyweight championship. He should not be the heavyweight champion. Tom Aspinall should be the heavyweight champion right now. His fight against Curtis Blades should be for the undisputed heavyweight championship, not for an interim championship. That's just my opinion, and I think a lot of people will stand by that opinion that I have. But if John Jones gets convicted on these drug tests and he fights and he is in prison for this stuff, there is no way that the UFC should keep the championship belt on him. That would just be absolutely unacceptable. And to be honest, I don't think I'd ever watch a John Jones fight again. I would not ask anybody to spend money on that. I would not say for people to buy that card. I would not want to watch somebody, who's defending their championship as someone who's in prison. That's just terrible to me. For something that could have easily been avoided. I don't know. It is what it is. But anyway, moving on. I want to move back into baseball because I've been running my mouth for the past couple of minutes here. Called the Home Run Derby. Won by Hernandez from the Dodgers. I mean, I don't think anybody picked him in the world. I mean, he had the worst odds going into the semifinals. I think at about plus 350. And he ends up winning the whole thing. I picked Bobby Witt Jr. to win the whole thing. What are your thoughts about this?
I mean, I was surprised that he beat Bohm. Bohm had a chance to beat him. I mean, he had 3 outs, only needed to hit 1 home run, couldn't do it. Then Hernandez hit 2 the next in the swing off. I mean, he deserved to win that. I will tell you 2 things that I took away from this. Gunnar Henderson and Pete Alonso forgot how to swing a baseball. I don't know what Pete Alonso was doing. Apparently, he's going to go out for try and get another home run derby. But I mean, his performance was absolutely horrible. Gunnar Henderson, I mean, probably the favorite coming in, the 1 seed. I mean, just got cooked in the first round. Adolis Garcia, I thought he'd do better because it was, his home crowd, And then Marcelo Zuna, I mean, boy, oh boy. I mean, fraud. Same with Pete Alonso. I will admit, Marcelo Zuna was hitting the ball like super duper hard. I mean, probably the hardest out of anybody here. I will say one thing. Jose Ramirez, you should have switched to righty. Like, you should have switched sides. You started with the left hand. I thought it was a great decision to start with the left hand because of that somewhat of a shorter porch to right field. You could just, golf some balls on out there. But then when you get into the next round, he slowed down a little bit. He got tired. I think if he would have hit from that right side, it would have, switched things up, physically and mentally. And I feel like he would have felt more fresh. Hit a couple more out. He only had 12 in that semifinal game, I believe. And then Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt surprised me. I didn't think he was going to make it out of the first round. Yeah, I mean, he had 20 in the first round, and then, he didn't look back from there, kept going until the final, and then Tasker Hernandez was just on fire the entire night. I will say, Alec Bohm, my dark horse, proved some people wrong. The most home runs in the first round, 37 total. I don't have much else to say. I was proud of my boy Alec Bohm. But yeah, I mean, I thought he should have won it because, I mean, to be fair, 3 chances to hit 1 out, and he basically sold the bag. But anyways, yeah, I don't have much on it. Ryan, you got anything?
I do agree. I think Bohm should have won. My man Bobby Witt Jr. really put out a good performance. I think he had one of the shortest odds to wins going into the semifinals, though he could not pull that out. I thought that he put on.
I think Bohm had the highest, actually. Still,
I think he might have the second highest. I don't know. Anyway, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. But anyway, Bohm put on a great performance. One thing I will say. I know people were laughing at the national anthem. This injured Andress. That was a truly abysmal performance, though she did say that she was drunk heading into the event, and she is going to check into rehab. So now that we know that, I think we can stop laughing about it now, and we can hope and pray that she gets the help that she needs. I want to say that here live. Now, I didn't personally make fun of it on X, though I normally do make fun of stuff like that. But now knowing that that she has that problem, I do want to. I'm glad that I said nothing about it, and I'm not going to continue about this anymore. Hopefully, she gets the help that she needs. Anyway, moving on. And even I just got a tweet about it that or from Barstool that she admitted to it. So props to her. She really owned up to it. That it takes a lot. It takes a lot of guts and heart to go out there and admit that you have this problem. And yeah, I think that it takes a lot to do that. Anyway, I don't really have much to say. I think Witt put on a good performance. Bohm definitely should have won. I was very sad that he didn't win. My brother was like, he was going nuts. He took it a little more seriously than I did. That's a surprise. But yeah, Gunnar Henderson and Pete Alonso were terrible. That's pretty bad. But I mean, the Mets have just been so terrible, though they are looking better. The Orioles, I mean,
I think Pete Alonso would have won if Grimace was in the game.
That is probably true.
Or if what's his name, Jose Iglesias sang OMG. But that's after.
It is what it is. But I think Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, he's getting older. I mean, I don't think he has the fight that he once did to win these kind of events. I just think he's in there for the name. Gunnar Henderson, came in with all the hype, and at the end of the day, a shortstop being, the favorite to win the whole thing is not the most ideal thing in the world. And then again, I picked Bobby Witt Jr. to win. I just had this weird feeling that I just thought he was going to win. I don't know. Cole, I will ask you two questions, one regarding this and one regarding the All-Star game happening tonight. Do you like the new rules for the Home Run Derby?
I do not.
Okay.
I'm just going to be blatant. Should go back to the regular rules. 10 swings. Home run or out. I mean, I think that's how it should go.
Right, I agree. I mean, this is a little crazy. 40
pitches maximum. You got 3 minutes. I also think if they're going to keep this going, semifinals should bump it down to 2 minutes. I mean, it's super long. I mean, 40 pitches, it's a lot. And, I mean, yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
I mean, I feel like the Home Run Derby is, like, very celebrated. Like, a lot of people watch it. Like, it's not like it's taken a hit in viewership in the last couple of years. So, like, why change it? Like, why if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, I feel like everybody still liked it for the way it was. Not liked it, loved it, really. I always watch the Home Run Derby. I mean, it's better than the All-Star game, for God's sakes. Anyway, second question, this regarding the All-Star game tonight. Paul Skeens starting for the NL. Do you think that's the right decision?
Oh, 100%.
Me too.
I mean, young guy. He's going to go out there and compete. He's good. I know for a fact he's going to clock at least 100. I don't expect him to, throw in like the mid-90s trying to preserve his arm. I think he's going to, try and entertain, maybe even throw a new pitch, maybe throw a little knuckleball. But yeah, I mean, it's a great choice, and I like Corbin Burns for the AL as well. I mean, I frankly don't care who starts. I just want Christopher Sanchez to get in there.
That's true. Anyway, I think it's the right decision. I think that Paul Skeens has put on some of the best performances we have seen from a rookie pitcher ever. There's no doubt that he probably is going to win Rookie of the Year, barring any arm injury, God forbid. I think it's a good way to boost your ratings or boost your people who watch the game. It's not just because who he is in a relationship with. It's also that he can throw. Like, he is really, really good. I mean, I don't know much about pitch. Yeah,
dude, he throws gas.
I know. I mean, you know more about this than I do, but this guy can throw the ball like none other. I mean, goodness gracious, he's got a cannon literally a cannon for an arm. I mean, he is just really, really good. So I think it's a great thing that he is pitching it.
So if you combine his MLB and his AAA season, he's thrown over 250, 100+ mile-an-hour pitches.
That is wild. That is absolutely wild. I mean, I can't even fathom of doing that. I mean, just look at me. Anyway, moving on. Moving into the NFL, we finally have some NFL news, and most of my sports knowledge comes through football. Well, I'd say the majority. Obviously, I know basketball, baseball, and UFC and stuff like that. But where all of my focus always goes, and where most of my popularity comes from, is football. And we have had no football news in the past God knows when. Moving on. So we have 2 bits of football news today. The Titans, they're a sneaky team to watch, Cole. They have just signed Jamal Adams. They have had a great off-season. They were traded for L'Jarius Sneed. They just signed Jamal Adams. You have Simmons on the defensive line. You have a really good linebacker core. On the offensive end, you have Tony Pollard. You have Burks that hopefully is going to have a better season. I'm going to look at their wide receiver really, really quick here. You have DeAndre Hopkins. Who else you got? Yeah, you just signed Calvin Ridley. While overpaid, I think he's going to make a big difference. This guy, Westbrook Icon, I really like him at your tight end spot. Oka, Wonu, whatever his name is. I commentated a lot on him in these past couple of years. I've commentated a few Titans games. I really like him. You don't have a bad offensive line at all.
What's their backup running back? I remember him. He's very solid.
You have Pollard, and then you have Haskins is there. I think they're backup right now. Also, you just signed Tyler Boyd. I forgot about him. Tyjae Spears is another half decent.
Tyjae Spears, that's what I was thinking of.
He's another half decent backup right there. This team has all the pieces right now. Maybe not to win their division. I think they're the second best team in their division right now. I think Houston is the best team in the division. But this is a wild card team right now. I think if you can just have Will Levis play just okay, I think that you can make this team a lot better. Because I'm looking at the AFC right now. The Bills, they're not a good team. Their offense is not good right now. I'm looking at their wide receiver core. I don't think that any of these, Keon Coleman might be very funny and all, but I don't think he's going to be able to produce that much. You have Miami. They can't play anywhere outside of Miami. The Jets and the Patriots, we'll have to see with them. Baltimore, I don't think they're better than right now. Cleveland's a debatable one. Same with pretty much all the AFC North. You don't really know. Then you go into the South, which is their division. I think that I don't think they're better than Houston right now. I think C.J. Stroud's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think they're better than Jacksonville, and I think they're better than Indianapolis because you don't know if Anthony Richardson's going to stay healthy. I'm going into the West. I don't think they're better than the Chiefs. I think they're better than the Raiders. I think they're better than Denver. I don't really think right now. Actually, it's debatable with the Chargers. Right now, the Titans could be one of the best teams in the AFC right now if Will Levis is able to put this all together. When you look at the way Will Levis moves, I don't really like the way his footwork is, but I love the way he can throw the deep ball. He can definitely get that ball down there. He has some great arm strength. I think his accuracy needs to be a little bit better. He needs to be able to see the field a little bit better, but you do have that offensive line right now with a guy like a Peter Skoronski and Joe Alt. They drafted, or did they draft Joe Alt, or am I sure? They didn't? Oh, no, they drafted Latham, sorry. Latham's really good, 6'6", 342. That's what he comes in as. I mean, right now, I think that the Titans have one of the best teams in the NFL. If Will Levis can just improve on the things that I just mentioned, the Titans can be one of the best teams, and they can compete for the AFC South. Cole?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Ryan. I don't think they're better than the Ravens, the Bengals, or the Chiefs. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Right. I think you're probably right on that one. Anyway, anything else, or are we good?
Yeah, nothing.
All right. So now the biggest news coming in for the NFL, and really the biggest news of today, if you really want to put that out there, Brandon Ayuk has officially requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. Happy days as an Eagles fan. Brandon Ayuk has been back and forth with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, from what I was hearing around, I thought he was happy in San Francisco. I thought he was willing to play out the year, whatever. But he's officially requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers say they have no intent of trading him away. Now, players like Deebo Samuel, Robbie Gould, that Adam Schefter pointed out, they all were disgruntled and unhappy. And the 49ers did not trade them, and they ended up getting a deal done. I think it's going to be very different for Brandon Ayuk. The way the cap works, how are you going to sign him? You sign all these guys to you have all these guys on multi-year contracts, and you have to pay Brock Purdy next. That even if you kept Brandon Ayuk you re-sign him to a new deal, you're going to have to trade away somebody else that is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than Brandon Ayuk. You don't have really any other choice to trade him. When it came to Deebo Samuel, you did have a choice. You could afford him, but the problem is that you just didn't really want to. With Brandon Ayuk, you can't even afford with the money that he wants. Brandon Ayuk, in my opinion, has the potential to be better than Deebo Samuel, and I think he was probably better than Deebo Samuel last year. I have always said it. I think Brandon Ayuk has the potential to be a number one receiver on a championship team. And when you're taking the money that he can get from a contending team at this current moment in time, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, I don't know, the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe that's Cincinnati Bengals, but you get my point. The Baltimore Ravens, that's another team. When you take with what Brandon Ayuk's skill set is, he can play on any quarterback in the NFL. He's one of the better route runners in the NFL. I don't think that Brandon Ayuk should take any less than what he is being than what his demanding offer is. And if that means he has to go to San Francisco or get out of San Francisco and prove his value to some other team, maybe for however much money, then so be.
I would be surprised if he went to the Browns.
The Browns is a decent, yeah.
Oh, never mind. Their payroll is.
They are through the roof though, because Watson has the $230 million guaranteed. Anyway, I think that Brandon Ayuk should get. I don't think Brandon Ayuk steps on that field without a contract. I would not bet on myself because you don't know how much you're going to be getting the ball. Christian McCaffrey, you have Kittle, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Jennings. You have Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, there you go. And then you got Elijah Mitchell as well. Then you have that guy that they just drafted out of Florida. I currently forget his name. My football knowledge is kind of dead right now. But Cole, fact check me on that guy they drafted out of Florida right there.
Yeah, Reach Virtual.
They got this guy who's grabbing one-handers like he's prime Odell Beckham Jr. So you don't know how much you're going to be getting the football. Saying you go to a place like Baltimore or Pittsburgh, you're going to be getting the ball a lot more, and then you can prove your value. But honestly, if I'm not Brandon Ayuk, I'm not stepping on that field without a contract because you don't know how much you're going to be getting the ball.
All right, I got a question for you, Ryan.
All right, go ahead.
I have two questions. Number one, where would you want to see him play the most? And number two, where do you think he's going to end up going if he leaves? If he leaves.
I think that his best fit would probably be the Baltimore Ravens. I take him and Zay Flowers as two players that can kind of play the same. They can do whatever they want. They are great on. They can run deep. Both have a great post and go route. I think that they can both run over the middle on dig and crossing routes. I think they both do that well. So if you can get them to both combine their skill set and have them do what they do well and put that together on the field, I think that would work out well. But I don't think that the San Francisco 49ers would be willing to trade him to somebody that they could see in the Super Bowl potentially next year. Because the Ravens could have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. All they had to do was run the ball a little bit more, and then they would have beaten the Chiefs. So that's somebody they can see. A team that I think he will end up with is the Pittsburgh Steelers. George Pickens is very disgruntled, pretty much. You can see that. Then you see, Deontay Johnson is gone. And really, who else is there? You have Freiermuth, but how much is he really going to impact? He's a tight end who's limited, I guess you could say. So I think Brandon Ayuk would work out well with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'd be the number one without any question. And then they could pay him whatever he wanted because they don't have to pay Russell Wilson anything right now because the Broncos are paying pretty much the entirety of his salary next season. So I think he probably would end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mhm.
The Commanders is just one more thing before you jump in here. The Commanders has always been rumored. That's not happening. They have a receiving core. They're not going to trade for Brandon Ayuk. They're not going to trade the assets that they have in the future. They're not going to lose control of their draft picks just to get Brandon Ayuk. At the end of the day, how much of a difference is he really going to make on a team like this?
All right, so I'm gonna just give where I most want to see him play, and that's the Chiefs.
Oh, God.
Here's the thing: I don't want him to win another ring, but it'd be pretty sick.
It would be cool to see.
Mahomes, Ayuk, and Kelsey. I mean,
that would be nuts. Not a Tyreek Hill sort of thing. I mean, he's not as fast as Tyreek Hill, but he can run the same routes as Tyreek Hill pretty well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think that's Tyreek Hill's ceiling, to be honest. Not like this Tyreek Hill, but Kansas City Tyreek Hill.
Right, I get what you mean. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think that there's much more to say. We've been covering this story for a little bit now, so you guys will definitely know, or will definitely hear from us in the future about what happens over Brandon Ayuk. Though, are they really going to trade him? Is my question, because training camp's just about to start. Why, if you're a team, why would you trade for your number one receiver while you're in the middle of training camp? It doesn't make that much sense. You also shouldn't trade for your number one wide receiver at the trade deadline. Though I think teams would get desperate at the trade deadline and offer up as much assets. Same thing in the NBA and in the MLB. Teams offer as much assets as possible when they get desperate and want to try and add as much pieces to win. So they could trade Brandon Ayuk maybe during the trade deadline. We'll see if he steps on the field or not. I don't think he should step on the field, though, without that contract. Anyway, moving on. Moving into the NBA, or actually we'll move back into the MLB, and then we'll cap off with the NBA. Cole, you have a top 5 list of top 5 guys that the Phillies need to trade for. Now, we've been talking about the trade deadline for the past couple of weeks right now, and I saw you were on X, on our podcast Twitter, talking about one of the guys from the A's. What was his name? Mason, something like that. The guy from. So anyway, I won't spoil your list. Go ahead.
They're all good. All right. So number 1, I do have that guy, Mason Miller. Out of the A's, I mean, this guy just took a flight from Philadelphia to Arlington. That's about a 6-hour flight alone with 8 other Phillies All-Stars. You saw the energy that they had at the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. I thought it was great. Obviously, Mason Miller talked to the other Phillies on the ride there. I think it'd be a perfect spot. Like you said, Alvarado's struggling, and you don't like Hoffman closing. This is our guy. This guy, he was pitching against us earlier, pitching on Friday. Hit 104. So this guy throws gas, and I want him on my team. I don't got much more to say with him. Number 2, I'm going to go with Luis Robert. We've been talking about him for forever. His defense is so key. Obviously, you have Rojas, who's a great defender, but if you replace him with another, Gold Glover, I feel like he's a much better hitter. He's starting to catch on a little bit of a hot streak, hitting almost 240 with 11 home runs, 23 RBIs. He did miss a lot of the season, but I think he would bring a lot of firepower to this offense as well as his, Gold Glove level defense. I still really like him. I think his trade value, I put him number 2 because I still think his trade value is somewhat low. So, I always would like to see that deal, end up actually happening. Number 3, I got Cody Bellinger.
I knew you were going to say
that.
So,
this is a guy, I was going to say this.
I know.
See, this is a guy. We need this guy on our team. I'm going to just start off with that. He could really make a huge difference, either in center or left. I don't really care where you put him, to be honest. He just changes your lineup so much differently. Adds another lefty bat to your lineup. I know we have a bunch of those. Added to Harper. It would be Harper, Bellinger, Schwarber, Stott. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I think this would be a great addition. I'm starting to see the rumors pile in on my Instagram feed, so it's getting me fired up a little bit. Number 4, You might be a little bit surprised with this, Ryan. It's in the division, and it's going to be Dylan Floro from the Washington Nationals. This guy has been so solid for the Nationals this season. 2.11 ERA. It was sub-2 earlier this season, but he had a rocky start against some team that I forget. But anyways, here's the thing. We need another reliever. I don't really trust Sir Anthony's confidence right now. There's a bunch of guys who I wouldn't trust. Gregory Soto hasn't been that great. Alvarado's had some rough bumps. Kirk Ring and Hoffman I'm really liking as of late. But if we can get Dylan Floro in there, I think he could possibly become a closer, but definitely eat up some innings there for us. And then number 5, Brent Rooker. Again, guy took a 8-hour plane ride from Philly to Arlington. I mean, there's not much more I need to say about this. It would be a big package to go and get him because he's, been so on fire for them. Obviously, he's like their bright spot in that lineup along with Mason Miller. He's just been so solid for them. I wouldn't, to be honest, I know he's bad. I really know he's bad at defense, but I'm willing to take a hit in left field, put Martian center field as our everyday center fielder. He's batting .290 with 21 home runs and 62 RBIs. Tell me you don't want that over Rojas or Pache, whoever you want to put in center. I mean, I will take a bunch of errors and get 20. He's on pace for 40 bombs, Ryan. I mean, and possibly batting 300. He's going to be way over 100. He's on pace for 120 plus RBIs as well. I mean, this guy's having a great season. He's 8th in the league in OPS. I mean, it would definitely need a ton of prospects. I'm assuming they'd want Justin Crawford and probably one of our high-pitching prospects, whether it's Abel, Painter, or Griff McGarry. But yeah, they definitely want a huge package for him, but I would love to see him play for us. Yeah, that's all I got. Ryan, any critiques?
Right now, I would be very reluctant to give up Justin Crawford. The amount of stuff that I've been hearing about him from you and from everywhere else, he's been playing very, very good as of late. Now, I don't know much about the farming system. I know a little bit about the Phillies farming system. You obviously know it a lot better than I do. But the way this Justin Crawford guy has been playing as of late, I'd be very reluctant to give him up. That's one. Second, I like the Mason Miller thing. Obviously, Luis Robert, I would probably put him at 1 right now because he's the most rumored. Mason Miller, I like. My only thing is that are the A's going to give him up because he's 25 years old and in his second season? I think that's something that we really need to talk about because of the fact that the A's are in the middle of a rebuild. They obviously in their minds they think that they're going to be better in a couple of years. So why not have him on the roster and develop him more to keep him going? I don't think they really are. I would be great to get him, but they would probably. I think they might be asking for a little too much for him. I like Luis Robert. I think his trade value is low. I think he's I don't know. I don't think I want to say high risk, high reward player or low risk, high reward player. But I think that you probably wouldn't have to give up too much. But I think what you could get would probably be pretty equal, in my opinion. Cody Bellinger, I think, is a long shot, in my opinion, because of the fact that it's within the conference, and the Cubs are trying to make a push right now, and they wouldn't want to give up somebody that they just signed a multi-year extension to. Now 3 years in the MLB is 1 year in any other sports league, but. But still a multi-year extension. I don't think they'd want to give him up for anything less than a few good prospects. I don't think that any in-division trades are going to happen. It'd be stupid if it did.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't see the Nationals trading anybody that good to the Phillies. But one thing that is kind of irking me, the Phillies defense, especially, and I didn't talk about this in the Phillies review, and I'm kind of upset about this. Just reminded myself. The Phillies defense in the outfield this last week or two has been really good. That one catch by Rojas in the Dodgers series was absolutely incredible. And then when you're looking at what Marsh is doing as well, Castellanos in these past couple of years, in fact, has improved his defense with the Phillies. I don't know if I want to say I'm reluctant, but how much defense are we really willing to give up in the outfield to get another player that hits the ball very, very well when we have so many other players that hit the ball very, very well? Cole, anything about that right there?
Yeah, I mean, we went to the World Series with a really not great defensive team. I mean, you look at that 2022 run, we were horrible. We were horrible defensively. We fixed the Kyle Schwarber situation, and then we had the Nick Castellanos situation. We moved him left and more up, so he would come in and to the left on balls, and he was very, very good. He made a bunch of catches in the playoffs like that. But yeah, you look at Rojas, you look at Marsh, they've been so great for us. But here's the thing. I'm willing to give up defense for some more firepower on offense. Like you said, we couldn't really score against the A's in that series. But, I mean, you look at... Yeah, it's tough, but...
It is.
I think Robert is perfect because, I mean, he's great defensively and great offensively. And I feel like he really fill that spot. Because here's my issue, Ryan. Yeah. When the playoffs come and Rojas is hitting, it's like a pitcher's hitting, man.
That is the problem, though. See, that's the problem.
Not 100. I mean, you can't get on 1 out of 10 times when you're in the big leagues. Please.
All right.
I understand he's worked on it over the offseason. He's hitting a little bit better now. Man, I'm just afraid when the playoffs come around, he's facing the best guys in the MLB. He's facing, a fully healthy Braves rotation. He's facing a fully healthy, who else can I see? Probably the Brewers rotation. They're gross as well. If they possibly get to the World Series, you could face the Baltimore Orioles and Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish, or he might be out for the year. But anyways, you got my point.
I get what you're saying.
The pitching is going to be very, very elevated, and talent-wise, it's going to be through the roof. Guys like Harper struggling in the playoffs. Trying to do damage against these much better pitchers than these other teams. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I'd be willing to sacrifice a little bit of defense, to improve the offense.
I don't think either of us is wrong, but I think you're probably more right than I am.
It's probably more of a how much.
You're probably more right than I am. I just think I have the fear of what if we have multiple errors in the playoffs. But I think you're right. When it comes to the playoffs, you want what your best stat on a very high level, which is offense for the Phillies. I don't disagree. I think I don't disagree with any of that at all. But I think that fear does kick in, and that I guess you could have Rojas, move into center field and stuff like in the later innings.
Yeah, and I've heard that we could use him to pinch run and then move into the outfield. Yeah.
I think you're right. Anyway, moving on after that. Now we're getting into the NBA, which this is frustrating to me because the Knicks, after spending pretty much as much money as the Dodgers, obviously I'm exaggerating there, but they spend so much freaking money, and they just signed Campaign. Jalen Brunson is taking a $13 million pay cut, except $156.5 million, and gives them so much flexibility that they I can't believe it. It's costing Jalen Brunson $37.1 million over the next 3 years to take this pay cut. And now, look at oh my God. Look at this. If Brunson, oh my God. You know how much money Brunson could have made over these next couple of seasons and he still took the pay cut. They are saving $11 million in 2025, 2026, $12 million in 2026, 2027, and $13 million in 2027, 2028. In total, they are saving $37 million over the next 3 years so that they have roster flexibility and they can take on the cap hit of when Mikal Bridges signs, OG Anunoby deal checks in, and now they can probably go get a backup center next season. This is actually ridiculous. I mean, Brunson is eligible to sign a 4-year, $230 million, 4-year, $323 million extension in the 2027 offseason. But right now, this is absolutely nuts with what he has been able to do. The amount of sacrifice that Jalen Brunson has just took in for the New York Knicks is absolutely incredible. And they're going to be able to keep this roster for years to come, which also means that teams like the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics are very numbered, because the Philadelphia 76ers, how much time does Joel Embiid and Paul George have left in their prime years is a question. And the Boston Celtics cap hit is absolutely through the roof, so they got to keep winning in the next 2 years. These teams are very numbered, while the New York Knicks have till 2027 to get this all figured out and at least win a championship. Cole?
Boy, oh boy. We were talking about LeBron's $3 million pay cut. Oh, my.
Looks like terrible.
Jalen Brunson he just one-upped them and took it to the next up. 110 more than LeBron? Are you kidding me? I mean, and they did great in the draft. I mean, you get Dated. They also ended up getting Huck Porty. They got Colic. They got Kevin McCullough from Kansas. Jacob Toppin as well. I mean, I know he's been on the team, but he hasn't been great. But I'm really liking this lineup, man. I mean, they went out and got Campaign on a minimum. Like you said, this opens up so much. To me, it was kind of like the James Harden for the Sixers. I mean,
that ended terrible.
So much cap space. Yeah, I don't have much more. This is pretty crazy to me.
This is just.
And then you look at the Celtics, and they look so greedy. I mean, everyone on that floor when they're starting is making $10 million plus. I mean, Tatum and Brown are making through the roof, and then Holiday's getting paid by the Bucks. And then you look at Derek White. Derek White just got extended.
Porzingis.
Horford has been paid. Porzingis has been paid. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm done with this topic.
This is nuts. I mean, the fact that Bridges is also going to take a pay cut is what I'm hearing. To stay with the Knicks is nuts.
It's literally Villanova all over again. I mean, they're basically paying for free at this point. I don't have anything to say, Ryan. I'm ready to move on to this Team USA basketball.
One thing I will say is that they still need a backup center. They can't get that this year, so I think the Sixers now the Sixers really have to win this year. This really puts the pressure on the East. Anyway, moving on. It doesn't put the pressure on the East to take less money, but because honestly, if you're all about getting your money, go ahead and do it. But it puts a lot more pressure on you to go win a championship. That's all I got to say.
And they're getting back Randall as well. I forgot.
Yeah, Randall's coming. I don't even know who their starting five is going to be. Who's their?
It's going to be Brunson. It's going to end up being Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, Randall, and Robinson, right?
I don't know. Is Brunson is Bridges a shooting guard? Or is he a small forward?
Small forward, shooting guard.
I mean that lineup's going to be. The thing is that lineup is small, and then if you have OG Anunoby coming off the bench, you have a role player who's getting paid around $40-something million per season.
Yeah. And Hart as well.
Hart, DiVincenzo. Campaign,
Tyler Kolek. I'm big on him, but
Kolek is he's from Marquette, and I'm a Villanova fan, so I'm a Villanova fan.
I understand.
They didn't even sign. I was surprised they didn't sign Sadiq Bey. I was actually pretty surprised about that. I thought that he's not a Villanova guy.
I mean, they love the forwards, man. Love the forwards.
Well, he's not a Villanova guy. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. We're gonna go to Team USA basketball. I'll start with this Team USA basketball. Now, I streamed the first game and I watched the second game. But when I was looking at the first game, obviously their chemistry was not that good. They weren't making shots. Turnovers was a very, very big problem. They were losing, they were messing up their dribbles. They were losing the ball. Like, very, very bad stuff there. Something that has been a problem is rebounding. You have three big dudes. Other than Anthony Davis, you've had absolutely no rebounding whatsoever. So that definitely needs to be figured out right there. I think the shooting could be a bit better. The first game, not bad. It's just that their first quarter was, they had to get used to playing with each other on a stage with, it makes sense. Anthony Edwards, though, with a great first game. I thought he was the MVP. He was making a lot of shots. He was getting to the basket. He could shoot. He could really do anything against anybody. In the second game, their defense was terrible. In the second half, you have, 60 in the second half? I thought their offense was a lot better. They shot the ball better. Curry, LeBron were on fire. I think that Embiid needs to play a lot better. I mean, you're playing against a bunch of guys in the NBA who you dominate on a nightly basis in the regular season. You're telling me just because it's the summer, you can't dominate on a national stage? Doesn't really make that much sense to me. Embiid has not played good at all. I don't think Embiid should be allowed to play on Team USA. That's just my opinion, because I think no matter what citizenship you have, you should play for your home country. That should be the rules, but I'm not complaining. But if you're going to play on this team, even though I think you shouldn't be allowed to, then you probably should be showing out. But the second game, I thought that their strengths were shooting. I thought that their offense was a lot better. Their spacing was a lot better. They passed a lot better. Offense was great. Rebounding was not that great. Jock Landale was getting 2 and 3 second chances to get this. Yeah.
I'm going to make one or two comments on this.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really watch the games that much.
Right.
But I will say one thing. They got absolutely dominated in the paint against in that second game.
60 points in the paint. I mean, you have Embiid, AD, and Adebayo, 3 potential defensive player of the year candidates in every season in the NBA, which is the highest level of competition. Are you kidding me? And then you have LeBron as well, who's always been known as a half-decent defensive player. You have good wings. You have good guards. You're telling me that you give up 60 points in the paint? I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Rebounding was not good. As I mentioned, Landale had 2 and 3 second chance opportunities. Your transition defense was not good as well. I thought LeBron has done a terrible job getting back on defense, just lazy defense overall. But I think that, honestly, I think the U.S. just has so much talent that none of this is really going to matter in the end. Because, I mean, Canada, which is probably one of the better teams in this Olympic tournament, they dominated. And then you have Australia, who's not a bad team at all. But I mean, even when they were coming back in the second half, I mean, the U.S. just threw out some of their starters again, and they had control. The U.S. is just so dominant that I feel like that it doesn't really matter. I mean, in the FIBA Cup, you didn't have, Durant, who will play eventually, LeBron, Embiid, Curry, and so on. But now you have these guys to the point where they are just so dominant, to the point where it doesn't matter what the other team does. Cole? Anything else?
Yeah. No, I got nothing.
All right. Moving on. We're going to move on to, I think that's really it.
Yep.
Ryan's Rants, baby. Cole, give me that first topic.
COD Metas.
All right, baby. I am so tired of Call of Duty as of late. Now, Call of Duty has been something very, very fun to me in these past couple of years. And also, I've been playing a lot with the homies during the summer, and I am getting so tired of the superior meta, man. We have 8 days remaining. You couldn't give me a new meta during the reloaded update. Come on, man. This is absolutely getting ridiculous. I cannot go another 8 days with the superior, man. Cole, I think I'm going to crash out. I mean, goodness gracious. I don't know what weapons to use anymore in loadouts, to the point where I've just been playing multiplayer at this point. I'm a half-decent multiplayer player. But I want to play some rebirths. I want to use new guns. I want metas. Thank God they nerfed the Car 98 because I want to use ARs again. I suck at sniping. I'm so tired of this stuff. Move on.
All right, next one. Ennis wants Crawford.
All right. And you won your fight in Philly. Now, I wanted to go to your fight. It was a rocking crowd. I really wanted to go to this fight. Now, obviously, I didn't, but it doesn't really matter. But you're calling out Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is a future Hall of Famer. Terrence Crawford is one of the best strikers and moves like an absolute wizard in the boxing ring. And he is an undisputed champion right now. Nobody should be calling out the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And yes, I said it, Terrence Crawford is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Terrence Crawford is so dominant right now that nobody, I don't think anybody wants to fight Terrence Crawford at this current moment in time. Don't call out Bud. Don't do it. Moving on.
Cooper Flagg dominating the scrimmage.
Now listen, Cooper Flagg is a great, really good basketball player. He is a point forward that can do everything. He can play offense. He's great in transition. He plays great defense. He can block you at the rim. He blocks your shot. He can hit a three. He can get to the rim. He can shoot a mid-range. He pulls up. He does everything you want. A perfect basketball player. But he's playing against Team USA, right? In these scrimmages. And obviously he's not playing for Team USA. But I mean, we're seeing so many clips of him doing so good, step back threes and, getting to the rim and getting good passes off. I understand that he's playing very, very well. But do you think these guys are playing at 110% in a USA basketball scrimmage? They're not getting paid for this. They're voluntarily doing this. You can't tell me that Cooper Flagg's the best player in the world right now or the best player on that team when these guys are not even trying, not putting 100% of their effort into it. Come on. If anybody knows that these guys aren't putting that much effort into what they're doing right now, they're in their off season. They could be doing anything. They could be on some beach chilling right now, and yet they're in a basketball gym playing against each other like they do for 100-plus games, saying that they make the playoffs in a season. Just because Cooper Flagg is making a few highlight reels does not mean that he's better than some NBA players. Come on.
Not only 100-plus games. I mean, 90% of their life is basketball.
Exactly.
I go as far as saying 95% is basketball.
I mean, they spend more time with each other than they do with their own families. Calm down. They don't care about this. They don't care about some random scrimmage. Come on. Give me a break. Would you? Now, I'm not saying they don't care at all. I'm not saying they're not trying, but they're not putting 110% into it. Give me a break. All right. Anything on these topics, Cole?
I got nothing, right?
All right. I think that's it. So we'll be back next week. Next week we'll be reacting to another UFC fight night. We'll have another Phillies weekly recap. And honestly, not really much happening this week. We'll probably talk about the All-Star game a little bit. I mean, talk about some baseball, but not really much going on. USA baseball's going on. I mean, free agency's calming down. Not really much. But, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And we'll see you later. Peace.